Hello and welcome to Where You Live. I'm Fallon Wagner, and on this edition of Where You Live, we're calling it the Artist Studio, where we're featuring different artists throughout Lethbridge. Our first artist is Morgan, and she's a goalie mask airbrush artist. She does really cool goalie designs. So she's going to tell us a little bit about her business. Thanks so much for joining us, Morgan. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your business and exactly what you do.
I custom airbrush goalie masks, so customers will come to me with either their masks or a design in mind, and I'll just bring it to life.
That's awesome. And how did this originally start? I mean, I'm sure it's not a career that always people think of when they think of textbook careers. So how did this come to light for you?
In 2007, I got my own goalie mask, and I actually found a eBay auction on the computer, and I bought it, and it was only $90 to get my own custom painted airbrush or goalie mask. So I got that done, and from there I just asked her questions because it was a female who did it, which was even more awesome. So I did that, and from there it just kind of blossomed.
So cool. And you posted, actually, I did a little bit of research on you, and you posted something on Facebook that really kind of kickstarted your, I suppose maybe would you say career, and it was a competition, is that right?
Yeah, and in also 2007, I entered the IIHF World Junior competition. They have a competition every year to design the goalies' masks. So I entered it that year, and out of 1,500 applications, I was one of two that actually won. And I later found out that I had two designs actually in the top 5, which was really, really awesome. So from there, I won the contest. I got to see my mask come to life on TV. Steve Mason wore it, and he won gold in it, which just seeing it on TV was just, you know, icing on the cake type thing.
Absolutely. And when that happened and you won the competition, was it kind of for you maybe a realization, I can actually do this and make a lifestyle out of it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Like from there in 2007, I was still in high school, so I believe I was 17 at the time. Okay. So I still had a lot to kind of do and start and everything, but it definitely started the process.
That's amazing. And what would you say is different about painting a helmet as opposed to painting a traditional canvas?
Well, the most obvious reason is the canvas is flat. A goalie mask has curves and ridges that you got to take into account, and the cage and all the holes and screws and straps and everything that kind of obstructs the paint. You want to kind of mold it to actually make it fit properly. So I'd say that's the biggest difference between the two.
Yeah. And is that kind of a fun challenge for you? Do you enjoy working with the mask and molding it to what exactly you want it to be?
Yeah, it's definitely a fun part. Sometimes it's frustrating because certain masks have like bigger holes on them and stuff like that, or the cage is kind of different, and sometimes it's a challenge, but for the most part you can work with the ridges and everything, and it works out pretty good.
That's awesome. And how long on average would you say it takes for you to complete a design start to finish?
From start to finish, from like the design until it's assembled and shipped back, I'd say probably anywhere from on the low side of 24 hours to 60 hours. And it fully depends on like what is wanted on the helmet, so how complex it is, or if it's just a simple one color job or something like that.
Do you have any favorite designs that really stood out to you, besides obviously the competition design? That's huge, but any other designs that really stick out?
I have a few. I'm biased. I like the ones that I paint for myself, mostly because they're the ones that I have my favorite things on. But my favorite one is actually from this year, and I did Logan Flodell's mask on the Lethbridge Hurricanes, and just something about the design, every time I see it, it just makes me smile.
I love that. Yeah. And speaking of the Lethbridge Hurricanes, you've done actually a couple designs for different WHL goalies. Can you talk a little bit about that and what it's like to do higher profile helmets, we'll call them?
Yeah, it was awesome. My first one was Ryan Gilchrist on the Hurricanes, and that was last January. I took the steps to get him into having it painted and everything, and I contacted him through Instagram, which is amazing. So that started that, and then I got the call in, I think, early October to paint Stuart Skinner's, and then the next one was Flodell's in this January. So I've painted 3 for the Hurricanes, and I also painted Flodell's for the Swift Current Broncos as well before he got traded to us. So that was pretty awesome, and yeah, they're very professional young men to work with, and they know what they want, and if they need help kind of figuring out what they want, then they're totally fine asking for help.
Awesome. I love to hear that. That's so wonderful to hear. And you just mentioned that you used Instagram to actually contact one of your first hurricane designs. So would you say that Instagram or social media in general is a great tool for small business owners?
Yeah, I'd definitely say that it helps a lot with small businesses because it's free advertising. So with Flodell, I actually contacted him when he was with Saskatoon, and he went with another painter because the equipment managers had another guy that they were working with in Saskatoon. So when he got traded to Swift Current, I contacted him again, and I got the ball rolling, and it worked out. So, and same with Gilchrist through Instagram, and I've contacted several goalies through Instagram, and it seems to work because I do get a response because, you know, younger people, they are on Instagram, and these goalies are younger in the WHL. So, you know, just getting my name out there, I think helps. And Facebook is a big one as well. Like probably a good 80% or more of my clients come through Facebook.
That's incredible. And walk me through the process, Morgan, of creating a helmet start to finish.
So from start to finish, the customer will contact me, and they'll kind of relay what they want on the mask to me, whether it be like a logo on the sides, their name on the chin, or a number, stuff like that. So from there, I just take what they've told me that they want, and I go onto my computer on Photoshop, and I'll design it, and then we'll work back and forth until we get the design down packed for what they want. And then from there, that's when the painting starts.
And the painting, is that, would you say, the largest part of the process, or is the design itself on your computer take a little bit longer?
I'd say the painting's probably the longer part. Just it just takes a little bit longer. You got to wait for the paint to dry between different layers and stuff like that. Sometimes the design can be longer, though, if you get a picky customer, or if what they're relaying to me just isn't coming through my head. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes I'm not feeling inspired to design things, so it all just depends.
And what would you say the best part of working on a helmet is? What's your favorite?
The best part, I'd say, is probably the end, when I'm starting to peel off all my masked off pieces and the vinyl and everything, because I get to see what's underneath. And then once you see what's underneath, you're just step back and it's like, wow.
I did that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. I love that. And I don't know if a lot of people get to say this, but would you say that you love your job and every day you get to wake up and come to something you love?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And one of the biggest reasons for that is because I don't have to drive in the snow.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. Morgan works here out of her basement at her home, so it really is a great location. You can come to work in your pajamas.
Yeah, exactly. Like most people, they think that they couldn't work at home, being in the house all day long, and I'm totally fine with it because I don't have to deal with the weather.
Yeah. Especially here in southern Alberta.
Yeah.
And where do you draw some of the inspiration for your designs? Where do those come from, besides what customers give you?
Yeah, it's mainly what the customers bring to me, and then I just try to work with what they've explained that they want. But seeing other artists work, because there's so many other mask painters out there, I try to pull inspiration from them too. I have my favorite painters out there, so yeah.
And probably a great way to connect with them too is online through their social medias.
Yeah, I've contacted a few painters through Instagram and Facebook and just email and stuff, and most of them are pretty good at actually getting back to you and helping if you need help and stuff like that, which is awesome because that really helped me when I was starting out too.
Yeah, I love that. A community, an artist community.
Exactly, and whenever somebody comes to me and needs help, then I'm glad to do it because somebody did it for me.
That's Awesome. And is there any advice that you would give maybe an artist who's in school or just someone who loves to design in any way?
I would just say practice. Yeah, like it took me quite a few years to actually get a steadier hand, and I still have to practice because I find myself holding my breath sometimes because I'm trying to get that really straight line. And I've been doing this for a little over 10 years now, so it just takes lots of practice.
That's awesome. I love that. And I think that's good for anything in life. Practice always makes perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And I guess lastly, Morgan, where can anyone find you online if they want more information?
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on my website at shinnydesigns.com or .ca. And same with on Facebook, just Shinny Designs, SCHINNY.
Thank you, Morgan, so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. And after the break, we'll be speaking with a glass bead artist here in Lethbridge. We're back here on Where You Live. Now we're joined by Shana Hayward. She is a glass bead artist here in Lethbridge, and we're in her studio. Thanks so much for being with us today, Shana.
Well, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. We're so happy to be here. And let's start off by talking about glass beads and what got you interested in working with glass.
Well, I've always been into the arts, but a family vacation to Nelson, BC got me into the glasswork. So I saw a little shop where they were making the glass beads, and I didn't want to leave. I stayed for about 3 hours and the family had to leave and come back and get me. So after that, I said to my husband, this is what I want to do. And he thought I was a little bit crazy because I bought a blowtorch and a book, and then I just started practicing. So that's kind of how I got started.
And so how long would you say it before you kind of felt confident in doing the beadwork and selling it?
Oh, yeah. Well, the first year I thought I was really good, but now that I look back at my work, it was definitely a work in progress. So it took me about 2 years to get really proficient with the bead making. And I'm always improving, figuring out new techniques and getting faster as you go as well. But there's always room for improvement. So yeah, but definitely a couple of years before I felt like I could sell the product.
And what is the process of, I guess, starting with glass and then into a finished piece of jewelry or design?
Right. So the glass comes in all different colors. And there's a couple of different ways that I do things. Sometimes I'll have something in mind that I want to make specifically, so I'll get the glass ready for that. And then I melt the glass in a blowtorch, oxygen propane, and I work it in the flame until the bead is done, and then I put it directly into the kiln.
That's pretty cool. That I imagine that's probably pretty cool to see. You don't always see us ladies working with blowtorches, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I have a blowtorch and lots of good tools in my studio here. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And where does a lot of your glass come from? Do you get it from all over the world?
I mostly order my glass from the States, but they do bring it in from different parts of the world. The original place where they made this glass and started this process was in Italy. So a lot of the glass is Italian, but there's other countries now that make the glass, but I order it from the States.
I was actually just about to ask you about inspiration because I was recently in Italy and just an island off of Venice. I'm Murano. Yeah, exactly. And I was just wondering, do you ever kind of get inspiration from creations that are made out there? I mean, it was kind of magnificent to see an island that specializes in this.
Oh, for sure. I draw inspiration from all different places, but definitely from there. And it's on my bucket list to get out there and see Murano for sure.
Ooh, that's
Hopefully
awesome.
take a class or two.
That's awesome. I'm sure you could teach them a thing or two now.
Oh, I don't know. They're masters.
That's awesome. And how long then have you been making bead art overall?
About 15 years. Mm-hmm.
And what would you say it kind of started, I suppose, as a hobby and then grew into the business it is today?
Yes, I never thought that I would be doing beads on this level and selling them when I first started. It was more just for myself and to create. And it I would wear my pieces, and then people would say, "Oh, where did you get that?" And, you know, give it to my friends as well. And then people started wanting the jewelry. So then I started making it, which was also good because then I could buy more glass. It helped me pay for that.
And do you have any designs or style of bead making specifically? You mentioned there's a couple different things you do that you really love to do, or favorite pieces maybe that you've designed in the past?
Yeah, well, sometimes I work, like I said, I pick a certain piece that I want to do, like a landscape. I do quite a few landscape beads. And so then you kind of have in mind what you are going to see in the end when the bead is done. But then sometimes I like to just pick some colors and just start playing with it and see what comes out. So that's kind of the two processes that I use.
And I guess that leads into my next question. Do you have any advice for maybe an aspiring artist, someone that's pursuing a craft of their own? You mentioned playing and practicing. Would you recommend that?
Oh, for sure. And don't be afraid to try something, even if there's not a class available for you, or because I kind of did this all on my own. I have taken some classes as well now, but when I first started, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I just started practicing. So definitely I would encourage people to do that. Just try, because you never know until you give it a try.
And I think that's just good advice for life in general.
I think so.
Yeah, that's awesome. And off camera, we were talking a little bit about social media and maybe the benefits of that for a small business. Would you say for you as a small business owner, social media has really allowed you to branch out into maybe bigger audiences?
Oh, definitely. I do travel a lot to different places to sell my jewelry, but it sure is nice to have the social media. If somebody sees you, if you're up in Calgary or Edmonton doing a show, then they can go online later if they think, oh, I wished I would have bought that piece. And I've sold jewelry all over the world. So people find you on my Etsy shop that I have, and on my Facebook, and order pieces. And so, yeah, I've got pieces in many different countries, which is exciting.
Yeah, and I guess it kind of makes a little bit more universal then. It makes your work a little bit more available to a wider audience.
Yes, definitely, yeah. So they can special order, or if they're looking for something in particular, I can make it for them, which is nice too.
That's so awesome. If someone is looking to find out more about you, as we just were talking about online, you mentioned your Etsy shop, where can people find you?
Facebook, so that's Madfish Glass Beads, and my Instagram is Madfish40. And yes, I do have also an Etsy shop, which would be under Madfish Glass Beads on Etsy. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Lots of places to check you out and see what you're working on.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
And thank you for watching this edition of Where You Live. We'll see you next time.